Hi guys, Nick here with BitGalaxis, bringing you a new Asset Forge build video. And I've done plenty of these videos in the past and just decided I want to do another one. And the program has changed quite a bit since my last build, so I'll start building and talk about some of the changes. One of the most obvious ones starting out is they now have a daily build idea, and in this case, they've got a submarine. I've already done one submarine actually just by chance, and it happened to be I made a shark-like submarine. So I want to make something different today and kind of go over some of the changes. So, one of the things with Asset Forge is you have these icons here, and for the video, I've actually increased the size of the icons for these blocks. But I'm going to go to my preferences and show you that you can change the UI size over here and go down quite a bit and up quite a bit. I usually work on 1, but for the video, I'm going to go to 1.2 just so it makes it easier to see what I'm doing. You have some options for saving your data, and then you have your grid. Oh, one thing you can also do is change your workspace to different backgrounds. And I usually actually work in space, but there is like sunset and sky. So I think I'm going to go ahead and work with maybe light. Eh, I'll go with sky sunset today. And if you look, you can kind of see some clouds. And this kind of looks like it might be sunset with water. So that might be a good setting. You can see your grid here. You can change your grid opacity in those settings as well. Some of the changes that have happened with this is the way you control how you move things has changed a bit. They have some extra features. And to give you an example of that, let's just start building some things. I'm going to use that kind of as like the back. I don't know what you would call that thing, but on the submarine, they have like the rudders and things like that. And this is one piece that might hold that. So, but I want this to face backwards instead of facing up. And previously, you had like 3 white lines, and you couldn't really tell which axis you were moving on just by looking at it. Well, now we've got this feature where it'll show you which axis you're working on, whether you're doing a mirror, or whether you're doing a rotation. And in this case, I want to rotate it around the red axis. So I'm going to click on this until it shows red, and then do a rotate. And and you can do it says right here, little tips. You could do the rotational rings as well by holding Q. So you can rotate by 45, 15, whatever. The other cool thing is you can actually change the increments here. And you can also change the move and scaling increments as well with that. One other feature is if you press shift while you're doing it, you can do multiple, but also if you're shifting while you're scaling on one of the axes, it'll do both ways. So if you scale typically just one direction, it's going to go that way. But if you do shift, it'll mirror that scale. So I also want to bring this back a bit because that's going to be kind of the middle of my submarine. I'll bring it about 2, but I also want to scale this. Now, there's some weird stuff that happens when you scale after you rotated. So sometimes I'd recommend that you actually scale first and then rotate. Because you can see right there, I scaled this side out, even though I pulled this, arrow this way. So anyway, that's one thing I just happen to know. So you'll get some weird issues. Scale before you rotate, and you should be good. So, and you can also kind of get used to it. But anyway, moving on, let's pick our next shape. I'm not really sure what I want to use, to be honest with you. I'll probably want to use those fins. They're from an aircraft, but you also have all these blocks. There are a lot more blocks than there were in previous versions. There are a ton in here. You can just cycle through them. You can see here there are buildings, cities, castles. There's even hexagons. There's a grid now. You can change your grid to hexagon shape and work with hexagons, which is quite frankly pretty awesome. So if you want to do like, I don't know, an isometric game with hexagon grids, you can build assets for that really quick. They call this kit bashing, apparently, where you just throw together shapes, and these are good for mock-ups. But honestly, some of these models are, you can make good enough stuff that you could do for production too. For the submarine, I think there's some ship shapes in here as well, and there are some train shapes. I might use that. I don't know. Just kind of all sorts of ideas you can go off of, and of course you can use any kind of thing you want. I'm going to put this out here because I might want to use that for some kind of I don't know, some decoration later. But let's be absurd. Let's get like a little air intake thing for our submarine, even though it's not really going to need that. because it's underwater. And I'm going to delete that. There's tractor parts, car parts, you know, city walls, things like that. But let's go ahead. I'm just going to pick out a pretty simple shape. Oh, there's also mech parts if you want to make mechs. Those are pretty awesome in my opinion. They have lots of cool pieces you can use for just about anything, honestly. And then they have rebels and things like that. So I will pick probably even using parts from like the guns that they have. There is a you could probably get some cool shapes. Like this might actually be a unique shape for a submarine, but I don't know. I'm looking for something for the core body, and I'm thinking I could find it probably with some odd shape. And that's the cool part about this too, is that you're not really restricted to just using these parts, uh, as they're meant to be. You can shift them and scale them. In this case, I'm going to control scale to increase the size of this completely. If you do control, it's going to scale on all axes in all directions. So I'm going to use that. I think that looks okay. Um, and I'll use that as part of my submarine body. I might scale this back, get this here, and maybe have some kind of connecting piece. I'm not sure what I'll do with it yet. So you can see we're just kind of throwing pieces out there. One of the things I do is I just throw out pieces that I like, and just kind of put them in different areas, try them out, try different things. You never know what works. And what I say with this is it really is good just for creativity. You're throwing things together. You're not spending a whole lot of time on the modeling aspect of it because that can be very difficult, but it also lets you be creative and you're throwing things together. One thing I like to do when I've actually finished a model is if there's things I don't like about it, it's never going to be perfect. Is I can always go back into Blender and import these there and modify them in Blender. So anyway, I'm going to work on building this. I'll probably just take little screenshots here and there, or just have a fast forward video and let you guys enjoy while I build. So enjoy. All right, guys, that's it. That's the final product there. You can see my submarine. Quite a bit we could change on this. Probably add some weapons and I don't know what else. The color scheme is just something I threw together. It could be all sorts of things, but you can see how quick it is to build something and get something going, just to get some ideas. So I also happen to check, and Asset Forge is 50% off this weekend. You can buy the standard edition for $9.97 or the deluxe edition for $19.97. No affiliation. I just think it's a cool product, and you can get it on a good discount. I think it's worth it in my opinion. The deluxe version, the difference is that you get a lot more blocks. So if that interests you, but you can also import your own blocks. So if you just want to buy the standard and try to use your own, feel free. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you next time.